Okay, hello guys. Today I will tell you about 20th century English literature. And before I start and talking about the background information from this period of time, let me give you some um, uh, information about what was before. I'm talking about 19th century, and this period of time was divided in two: the Romantic movement and the Victorian movement that you have heard a lot from my partners. In this particular movement, I'm talking about the modern movement or modernism movement was divided in two as well. We're talking about um, modernism and postmodernism. So modernism and postmodernism. Postmodernism is after World War II, and we have some representatives in general, and we have some key features about this new movement. Okay, let's go to the board now. Here we have some famous writers in that time: Ezra Pound and T.S. Eliot, for example. There's something interesting about them. They were Americans, and well, normally the ones who were famous were the ones from England or the United Kingdom. But now we have American writers. Why? What do you think? What do you think in this particular time after World War One? Now we have American writers who take over English literature. What do you think? Okay, that might be an idea. Another thing, you have two other authors or writers, are like Sigmund Freud and Darwin, and they wrote about um, against the rational thinking of the Greek people. So they started with the new idea of non-irrational thoughts. For example, creation of man. They were against this type of thinking that man was created by God. And about Sigmund Freud, he wrote about, for example, his famous book, Interpretation of Dreams, which was mainly about um, how people uh, can define their lives in another way, right, or a rational way, because they can say that lives can be governed by other things rather irrational, sorry, rational things like, for example, reason and logic. But now we have dreams, we have revelations, we have things that are not common but or can be explained but can be imagined in a different way. Another thing that is important to mention is after World War II, we have the Russian Revolution. Okay, in 1919. Uh, in this particular time, there was a separation between the Western and the Eastern. Okay, so in that way, we had this separation uh, with literature as well, because the Western were writing more about capitalism, and the Eastern were writing more about Marxism or the leftist ideology. Um, and you know that this kind of uh, literature from the Eastern society was more focused on the uh, reivindication of the work class, the working class. And since the Western countries had failed to give a decent life to people. Marxism movement came out and started a new idea. In that sense, both types of ideologies were uh, were different among themselves, were different among themselves, and we can say that this was part of some um, background information behind the modernism movement. Okay, that's all I can say.